In 2019, new Japanese Emperor Naruhito's coronation ceremony was held at the Imperial Palace. Nowadays, not king but emperor is only in Japan. But why are successive monarchs in Japan called emperor? In order to know that, we need to back to 1700 years ago and view not only Japan but East Asian political situation at that time. If you're not familiar with East Asian history, don't have to remember unfamiliar names because I will repeatedly pronounce important proper nouns and show illustrations. Both now and in the past, Asian countries consider how associate with powerful China to survive. Western Jin Dynasty, the winner put an end to Chinese Three Kingdoms period. In 307, Mongolian ethnic mercenaries raised rebellion there, attacked and destroyed the capital city Luoyang, killed imperial family, bureaucrats, tens of thousands of people. According to a certain view, this ethnic group is equivalent to Europe destroyer Huns. The prince survived, escaped to southern China, and established a new country. The Chinese Empire temporarily collapsed and northern China became chaotic. Conflicts among several ethnic groups broke out and the Dark Age started. In southern China, Han Chinese dynasties continued and maintained Chinese civilization. They are called Southern dynasties. Taking advantage of this confusion, not powerful ethnics in Korean Peninsula, they unified and established countries to secure against attacks. The country which united in southwestern side, Vakia. The country which united in southeastern side, Silla. In Korean Peninsula, those two countries and Goguryeo contended for supremacy each other. Goguryeo is the country hunting people in today's northeastern China established. At that time, Japan was called Wa, not Nippon. Wa allied with Baekje while bringing tribute to southern dynasties as kings of Wa, not Japanese emperor. In 589, Sui Dynasty united northern and southern China. Sui Dynasty tried to indicate legitimacy as a Chinese dynasty and adopted policies to recounteract the ancient Han Empire, such as military expeditions to Goguryeo. Goguryeo did not threaten the Chinese mainland directly. Additionally, its territory is a cold region unfit for agriculture. Military operations of Sui Dynasty are difficult to explain by economic rationality. Why did they do? It's because the ancient Han Empire made an expedition to Korean Peninsula and directly controlled around Pyongyang, today's North Korean capital city. But when Han Empire collapsed, Goguryeo seized that area. Attacking and taking it back indicates the revival of glories of Han Empire and also legitimacy of Sui Dynasty. However, Goguryeo pretended to retreat and lured them. Guerrilla operations of Goguryeo disrupted Sui's supply of military provisions. Expeditions failed. The diplomatic policy of Wa had been allying with Baekje to confront with Silla, and brought tributes to southern Chinese dynasties. Sui Dynasty destroyed the southern Chinese dynasties. Wa had to establish new diplomatic relations with Sui, to bring tributes or to have hostilities. The problem was whether Sui was likely to invade Wa. In 598, Sui Dynasty failed the first expedition mobilized 300,000 troops to Goguryeo. In 600, Wa figured out the timing Sui had a diplomatic problem and dispatched the envoys to Sui Dynasty for the first time. How did Wa obtain this information? Actually, the regent of Wa had a close advisor Buddhist priest from Goguryeo. As mentioned in another video, Wa and the Korean Peninsula were adjoining in international politics, so many political refugees migrated to Wa via Korean Peninsula. In 607, Wa dispatched the envoys to Sui Dynasty for the second time. At this time, they brought the sovereign's message, writing, "The emperor of the land of the rising sun is writing to the emperor of the land of the setting sun, and I hope you are doing well." According to Sinocentrism, however, the title of the emperor was allowed for only one person in the world they could recognize. Additionally, in East Asia, or around China, kings were a subordinate position or regarded as to be lower rank than Chinese emperors. So in East Asia, being named the emperor was problematic and a sufficient reason for the outbreak of war. For Sui Dynasty, Wa had better have written to the emperor from the king of Wa. The sovereign's message of Wa was the expression of the will to separate from tributary system of China. The Chinese emperor felt strong discomfort, said, "The barbarian's message is so rude. Don't deliver it again." That was a natural reaction for Sui Dynasty. However, the next year, these envoys of Wa did not be driven away. On the contrary, peacefully returned to their country while being accompanied by the envoy for returning courtesies of Sui. For Sui Dynasty, the rudeness was so disgusting, but they didn't want to have hostilities with Wa across Korean Peninsula. They prioritized the next expedition to Goguryeo. In fact, after this, Sui Dynasty made military expeditions 3 times. As a result, the fait accompli remained that Wa insisted on equal diplomatic relations to China, but nothing happened. In diplomatic relations, not being sanctioned means to be allowed by another country. Thus, originally, the title of Japanese emperor was to establish new diplomatic relations with China.